Hello, my name's Rex Basterfield, and this is an introduction and demo of my Quilcom SIM HC. Now, I bet you guessed already that it's a harpsichord simulator. It uses standard synthesizer techniques and no samples to create a range of harpsichord-like sounds. So now I'll give you a very brief overview of the synthesizer, but for more details, far more details actually, have a look through the user guide because it tells you so much more than I'm about to. So first of all, at the top we have the preset managers with some presets to act as starting points and demo a few of the extra things that you can do with the synth. Next down we have this very important general panel where you can set the sound of the harpsichord, the timbre, tuning, etc., etc., and I will go into that in more detail in a bit. Here's the envelope generator, and that does a lot of stuff behind the scenes other than controlling the volume contour of the sound. The sympathizer section simulates the sound of strings vibrating in sympathy with the notes currently sounding. Then we have the soundboard, which simulates the sound box or sounding cavity of the harpsichord, which amplifies and colours the vibration of the strings. The tone module is basically a bass and treble control, so you can contour the sort of harmonic balance of the high and low end, and here you can also set the crossover points of the frequencies for the shelf filters. Now, there is such a thing as an electric harpsichord, which works a bit like an electric guitar. It has a solid body and is made by Baldwin, and they're extremely rare. I believe there's only about 3 in the UK, so why not be able to add some effects to it? So we have 4 effects spins where the effects are wired in series, and we can choose from a range of effects to go in each box in any order you want. So you can have up to 4 in an effects chain, like a row of 4 foot pedal effects units in series. And at the end of the effects chain, the excellent reverb by Martin Vikanek, the M-Verb 7B, is available to add space to the sound. And here, next to the output volume control, is a recorder where you can record up to 10 seconds of time automatically as soon as you start playing. So you could make one-shot sounds for use in the sampler, or record short clips and then manipulate them later however you wish. Real harpsichords can have more than one set of strings, which are referred to as choirs. So on the SIM HC I provided 3 different sets: the back 8, which plucks more towards the centre even though it's at the edge of the string, the front 8, and a 4-foot which runs at 1 octave higher than the 2 8-foot ones. So this is a back 8 on its own. And harpsichords can have a little bit of leather or felt pressed against a string to dampen the sound considerably and shorten the envelope, and that's normally called a buff stop or a lute stop. So these 3 switches allow you to select what choirs you want to sound. So that's the back 8. On a typical harpsichord, which has more than one choir, the plectra don't actually pluck the strings at exactly the same time due to the layout on the keyboard. So to simulate that, we've got a delay here which is velocity sensitive. So if I press a key really slowly, you'll hear the delay. Now if I press it faster, then you'll hear that slight delay, which adds to the sound, I think. The SIM HC simulates other aspects of the variation between different harpsichords, and there are two hardness settings here, one for the plectrum and one for the damper. So the plectrum can be anything from, believe it or not, a piece of leather through to a part of a bird called a quill, plastic, or even steel. So if we start off at the lower end, and then let's go really wild. So that's the hardness of the plectrum. When a key is released, a damper falls back on the string and chokes the sound. But the release time, which is the choke time, if you like, is longer on a harpsichord than on a piano. And this is because the damper is much closer to the support point for the string than it would be on a piano, which is more central to the string. So this is with maximum damper. And listen to the end of the note. I'll turn that down. So if the felt has become hard, or if they use a harder material, then you'll get more of a buzz when the note is released. Another factor which has a big influence on the sound of a harpsichord is the length, the tension and the material of the strings. So here we've got a little knob for simulating the variation, so I'll just adjust this while I'm playing a couple of notes. Harpsichords don't have sustain pedals like pianos, so you can't hold all the dampers off. So that's copied here with the envelope generator. The sustain pedal doesn't do anything, but on a real harpsichord the player can bring in a stop to emphasize a particular section of the sound to give a little bit of dynamic range and tonal difference. Usually musicians expect to set the harpsichord up and then just play the piece, but some pieces, some classical pieces, say that you should operate a stop at a certain point in the music to make the sound a little bit louder or fuller. So if I turn all these on here and then I switch these two to pedal, then these two choirs only come in when I press the pedal. Traditionally, harpsichords were built with wooden frames for the strings, unlike pianos, which had a rigid cast iron frame. So they're very much prone to going out of tune. So here you can fine tune the individual choirs and even switch on stretch tuning. The harpsichord sound itself from the oscillators is panned polyphonically across the stereo field, so you have the lower notes to the left and the higher notes to the right, but you can reduce that to mono or even make it super wide if you wish. The SIM HC also simulates the sound of the player pressing a key, the downstroke being louder than the upstroke, which is typically the case. And here you can set the amplitude of that. I'm going to play some high notes because you can hear the effect better. It's with no key sound. That's with too much key sound, probably. Now we're going to the sympathizer, which creates sympathetic resonance. There's no sustain pedal, so it's always active if you turn this on here. So this is without and with. You can set the decay time. And the level. Now the soundboard, as I mentioned before, amplifies and colours the sound. So this is without the soundboard. And with it. So I think it addresses all the sort of main or salient points of the instrument. So now I'll just have a quick demo of the presets. The first three are really starting points, so you can adjust the type of sound you want and save it as your own preset. So you've heard this one. This Baldwin Electric 1 preset is set up to sound like the electric harpsichord. Then we have a couple of presets with effects applied. Something I enjoy with these synthesizers designed to sound like one instrument is messing with the parameters to try and get them to sound like another instrument. So there you have it, that's the Quilcom SIM HC, and I hope you have a bit of fun with it. If you want to go into depth and find out lots of background information, please read the user guide, and I hope you have some fun with it. I'm going to play you out with a piece which I think you might recognise. So until the next time, bye!